Hello students, welcome back to this online session for English Literature Standard 7. Today we are going to discuss about a Polish and naturalized French physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. Yes, we are talking about Marie Curie. First, before beginning with the chapter with this biography that is written by her daughter Eve Curie, who was the youngest child of the Nobel Prize winning scientists Pierre and Marie Curie, she gained fame as a concert pianist, writer, and biographer. This account, condensed from Eve's famous biography of her mother, Madame Curie, appeared in the Reader's Digest in 1959. Eve Curie herself is a renowned international activist who, in this biography, has collected the chronicles of Curie's legendary achievements in science, including her pioneering efforts in the study of radioactivity and her two Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry. Yes, Marie Curie is the only one till date who has achieved two Nobel Prizes in two different subjects. This towering figure in the history of chemistry and physics, Marie Curie is the most famous for the discovery of the elements polonium and radium. Prohibited from higher education in her native Poland, back then controlled by Russia, she moved to Paris in 1891 and studied at the Sorbonne. Without further ado, let's get to the text. Marie Curie, A Radiant Life. Marie Curie's work on radium and radiology has been one of the greatest glories of modern science. Let's read an excerpt from her biography written by her daughter Eve Curie. I hope that you all know the meaning of the term biography, which is a detailed description of the things that have happened in a person's life. So, the youngest daughter of Marie Curie wrote this biography about her parents. In the autumn of 1891, a young Polish emigrant named Mary Sklodowska, excitedly registered for the science course at the Sorbonne in Paris. So she was a Polish emigrant, means she had come from Poland and moved to this new country. So she excitedly registered for the science course in Sorbonne. Too shy to make new friends, she lived a life of monastic simplicity, devoted to study alone. So, the only thing that she has devoted her life to was her studies. Monastic means simple and quiet, and possibly the living a celibate way of life. So, one important thing that I would like to mention here again, like I mentioned in the previous video, all of you are supposed to note down all the word meanings in your notebooks, followed by the question answers that will be shared with you. Okay, coming back to the text. From a small income, she had to pay for her room, means of living, obviously, clothes, and expenses at the university. When she wanted a feast, she bought two eggs or a piece of chocolate with some fruit. That was her idea of feasting. Marie met Pierre Curie in 1894. Pierre was the soon to be husband. She met him in 1894. He was a French scientist of genius. Pierre, like her, was devoting body and soul to scientific research. So both Marie Curie and Pierre Curie were totally devoted to the scientific researches. Immediate sympathy brought them together, and in a few months, Pierre asked Marie to be his wife. But to marry a Frenchman meant she had to leave her beloved, oppressed Poland, and so 10 months passed before Marie finally accepted. Okay, oppressed means subject to harsh treatment. Poland was subject to harsh treatment by Russia then. So she finally, it took her 10 months to accept the proposal of marrying Pierre Curie. Okay, both of them had great, remarkable similarities. Both of them were devoted to the science. So finally, they got together. Their life together in a little flat was singularly lacking in comfort. So both of them did not believe in leading a comfortable life, that we will see further also. They refused the furniture offered to them by Pierre's father. The bare quarters were furnished only with books, two chairs, and a white wooden table. On the table were treatises on physics, a lamp, a bunch of flowers, and that was all. So they just a handful of things that filled their little flat. They had very less things, very less furniture in their flat, only the amount of furniture required for a person to spend their life without any comfort. So as we can clearly understand with their lifestyle, that both of them did not want comfort but wanted to contribute to the science as much as possible. Little by little, Mary improved her housekeeping wisdom. She invented dishes which needed little preparation or could be left to cook themselves. Before going out, Mary would regulate the flame with a physicist's precision. Then, in a quarter of an hour, bent over other containers, she would regulate the flame on the laboratory burner with the same careful gesture. So, what we see here is that Mary was also managing the housekeeping along with her along with her being involved in her scientific research as much as possible, and she was also using the science to do the household work. When her daughter Irene, who also was a future Nobel Prize winner, was born, the idea of choosing between family and the scientific career did not even cross Mary's mind. Generally, especially for a girl, or these days one of the parents have to take a decision to take care of the child of their children, and for that they have to sacrifice their career. But this thought did not even cross her mind. She just knew that she could balance between the two. With Pierre's support, obviously for this the family's support is required. So with Pierre's support, she kept house, watched her baby daughter, but she also kept on working in a laboratory, working towards the most important discovery of modern science. Right? So she was very well balancing her career and her house along with the baby. Pierre Curie, who had followed the rapid progress of his wife's experiments with passionate interest, now abandoned his own research in order to aid with hers. So, what did he do? He left his own research, he abandoned his own research and collaborated with hers, means he wanted to help her with her research. So, two brains, four hands now sought the unknown element in the damp little storeroom that served as their laboratory. So, their laboratory was their storeroom, which was damp and little in the small in size. So, they Both of them worked towards discovering or identifying an element. By July 1898, they were able to announce the discovery of a new element. Mary named it polonium after her beloved Poland. In December of the same year, the Curies announced the existence of a second new chemical element which they called radium, an element whose radioactivity they believed to be enormous. So I think it is quite clear, very simple language. They discovered they announced the existence of two chemical elements, one for the first one in July 1898 and the second one in December the same year. Dressed in her old dust-covered and acid-stained smock is a long shirt kind of dress worn by the women in those days. Her hair blown by the wind, surrounded by bitter smoke from her experiments. So we can very well understand that she was only involved in the experiments throughout the day, which stung her eyes and throat. Mary was a virtual factory all by herself. These were some of the happiest years of her life, making discoveries, spending the time in doing what she loves most, that is, in science. Money for research was not easy to come by, and the Curies continued to teach to supplement their income because their income was not sufficient, so they needed the money. For that purpose, they continued to teach. Torn between their own work and their jobs, they often forgot to eat and sleep. Okay, so how much dedicated they were towards their work that often they forgot to eat and sleep because they were so much into doing their work. They were so busy with the work, they were so engrossed in the work. Thus, radioactivity grew and developed, meanwhile, exhausting little by little the pair of physicists who had given it life. Okay, so since they were dedicating their body, their time, everything they had to science, they little by little they started getting exhausted because they had given their whole life to the science. Finally, they achieved the miraculous outcome of their effort of purifying radium. Radium could become the ally of human beings in the war against cancer. Okay, it is actually used now by the radiotherapy. The cancer is treated. I think most of us know that now. The radiotherapy is given for the treatment of cancer. So, what they achieved by their hard work then is used by the mass now to fight against the deadliest of all the disease, that is cancer. Radium was useful, magnificently useful. A radium industry was about to be born. Pierre explained these things to his wife one Sunday morning. We have two choices, Pierre told her. We can describe the results of our research without reserve, including the process of purification, or else we can consider ourselves to be the proprietors, the inventors of radium, patent the technique, and manufacture radium throughout the world. So they had two choices. One was to publish their research with everything they had, with the process of purification and all. Second was to get the patent of it. If they would get the patent of it, then no one else would be able to use their technique to make it. Okay, and then first, if they publish their research, then all those who can go through the research, all those who would read the research could make it. So they had two options. With the second option, they could have earned a fortune for them. But let us see what they do. Mary reflected for a few seconds. Then she said, "It is impossible. it would be contrary to scientific spirit. So, see, we see the scientific spirit in them. They did not want to do anything just to earn, they wanted to contribute to the science. So, for that purpose, if they would have not published it and simply, so all in all, they just simply wanted to contribute to the science. Pierre's serious face lightened. So both of them, what Pierre had the intention of, uh, Mary also gave the same answer. They just wanted to contribute to the science. If we remain the proprietors, we could have a fine laboratory too. So if they remain the proprietors, then they are going to earn well. Mary's gaze grew fixed. Physicists always publish their researches completely. If our discovery has a commercial future, that is an accident by which we must not profit. And if radium is going to be of the use in treating disease, it is impossible to take advantage of that. Having decided, Pierre and Mary headed for the woods on their beloved bicycles. See, even after making such grand discoveries, they led a very simple life. They did not decide on progressing because of it or profiting because of it. Okay, they did not intend on earning money just because of it. They wanted to contribute to the science and not to their lifestyles. So they just chose forever poverty. So they had chosen forever between poverty and fortune. They did not make a fortune but chose the life dedicated to the science. In the evening, they came back exhausted, their arms filled with leaves and field flowers. So, even at this point, they did not have the temptation to have a life filled with all the luxuries. They just wanted everything to do with science. On 10 December 1903, the Academy of Science of Stockholm announced that the Nobel Prize in Physics for the current year was awarded half to Henry Becquerel, half to Monsieur and Madame Curie for their discoveries in radioactivity. So finally, along with Henry, shared with Henry Becquerel, they were awarded a Nobel Prize in Physics. The Nobel Prize meant 70,000 gold francs. So the Nobel Prize meant that they were going to be rich. There were loans to be repaid to Pierre's brothers, Mary's sisters, donations to scientific and to a childhood friend of Mary. Mary also installed a modern bathroom in their little house and repapered a shabby room. Repapered means put the wallpaper again. Okay, so the old wallpaper was torn off, so she repapered the shabby room, the ugly room. But it never entered her head to mark the occasion by buying a new hat. So what we see that they were only using the money in order to in order to just focus on the necessities and not on the luxuries. All right. So, see, even after getting a lot of money, they did not even think of having to do anything with the luxuries. Keeping away from the limelight, Mary soon resumed the routine of school and laboratory. Towards 2:30 on Thursday, 19th April 1906, a sultry rainy day, sultry means very hot and humid rainy day, Pierre left the university, attempted to cross a road, accidentally stepped into the path of a heavy dray. Heavy dray was a vehicle used in those times for carrying the heavy loads. So he came into a path of heavy dray and lost his life in a flash. Okay, it was just an accident, and just like that, he lost his life. After the funeral, the government officially proposed to award Mary a pension. Okay, like it happens in these days also. People who have contributed to the nation, to us, to the mankind, they are awarded by the government. So they proposed an award, proposed to award Mary a pension, but she refused flatly. See what strong, how strong woman Mary was. She just did not want to do anything with the sympathy or luxury. She wanted to work hard and earn for herself. And what did she say while refusing it? She said, I am young enough to earn my living and that of my children, she said, displaying her habitual bravery. So this lady, Marie Curie, was very brave, and she turned down the offer of getting a pension. The Council of the Faculty of Science unanimously decided to entrust Pierre's post at the Sorbonne to Marie. So what did they do? They This time they proposed her husband Pierre's post to her in the university. This was unanimously, means without anyone objecting to it. So everyone felt the same. This was the first time that a position in French higher education had been given to a woman. On the day of her first lecture, the amphitheater was packed and Mary walked into a storm of applause. So when she walked in, everyone clapped. She inclined her head and waited for the ovation to stop, the sound that was created by the people by clapping. Then she stared straight ahead of her and said, when one considers the progress that has been made in physics in the past 10 years, one is surprised at the advance that has taken place in our ideas concerning electricity and matter. Now you would be thinking, what is so important about the opening words of Mary in her lecture that she took after her husband's death? See, the importance of this opening line is that before Pierre died, this is the exact place, or these are the exact words where he left his previous lesson, left his previous lecture. So see her dedication, see how she managed to start, because the work must go on. She devoted all her life to science. So where he stopped, she resumed from the very same place. So let us come to the next paragraph. Marie Curie had resumed the course at the precise means the particular, the exact sentence where Pierre Curie had left it. Tears rose to the eyes and rolled down the faces there. Everyone was so touched that how much the lady was dedicated to the science. Now, the personal fame of Madame Curie mounted, means she was very, very famous and popular, and spread like a bursting rocket, and Sweden awarded her the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the year 1911. No other man or woman, like I already told you, to date has ever received the prize for two different subjects. To the end of her life, Mary continued her work with passion and dedication. On Friday, 6th July 1934, the robust heart beat no more. So, robust heart means her brave heart. It beat no more. So, this was the day that her life too came to an end. Mary was buried beside Pierre in the cemetery at Chaux in the presence of her family, friends, co-workers, and students who loved her. Okay, so that's all the excerpt that we had from her biography that was written by her daughter. I hope that it is clear to you people. Now, one important thing that I would like to suggest here is that read as much as you can about Marie Curie's life. You can get all the information on the internet, and these days you people have quite an access to the internet. So just explore more and more, get to know more and more about her, learn from her life, try to do something innovative with your life, like I tell you in every class. Find something good in yourself. Okay, now let us come to the exercises and question answers. These are the reference to context. I'm just waiting here for a second so that you can go through them well. And next is read, reflect, and write, followed by integrate. So I want you people, before you get the answers from my side, I want all of you to go through these questions and try to answer them on your own based on what I have explained just now. In case you find it difficult, I will suggest that you that you watch the video again and again so that you get a better understanding and try to answer them on your own. If you are able to answer these on your own, that would mean that you have understood the lesson well, that you have understood the chapter well, which would also help you people in your unseen passage comprehension. Like I always tell you, this where I explain the chapter, the story to you, and then you are given a chance to find the answer. It is also a practice of unseen passages, of the comprehension. Okay, with this I will end my class. Stay safe, stay indoors. Thank you.